Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Titan Talk. I'm Isiah, and Killgoon is with me as usual, kicking off our week here.
I feel like I have like the most accidental perfect product placement.
I know, right?
It's just like,
oh, you're plugging the carbonated water today.
yeah,
staying hydrated.
I have coffee plus water, which is it kind of adds up to an Alani. I don't
of,
know.
yeah.
I was feeling more in the mood for some coffee and some water. So anyway, but I just looked at the camera. I was like, oh man, it looks like I did this intentionally.
Right, yeah.
But you know that like in like TV shows now, they'll actually like in post production like add products.
Really?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. In reality shows, it happens all the time. So it's like, oh, you know, like in Top Chef or something, like they'll have like the perfectly positioned like bottle of salt in the background. It's like that could be added in post production now.
True.
So anyway,
yeah. Sweet. Well, it's going to be a little bit of a lighter show for those of you joining us expecting the OB13.
the Killgoon tangent started.
I know,
early.
right?
Yeah,
They started early.
I just fun things. Anyway.
No, you're good. But for those of you joining us who may have been expecting the OB13 kind of traditional kind of pack showcase, we're not going to do that today. We're going to do it on Wednesday. We talked about it a little bit last week, but we're kind of pushing back our development schedule a little bit, right, Killgoon?
Yeah. So we are changing the days. So basically, like the way that our internal calendar is built, it's built around the day that we branch, which basically means like we kind of lock this is what's in this build, and then we spend the next week kind of making sure that everything is actually ready that's in that build to ship. And previously, we were branching on Sunday nights so that we could then go live on the Monday a week later. This led to a lot of the team needing, like, not optionally working on the weekends because it was like, oh, there's certain things that you have to do to start the branch on Sunday nights. And if there's something that you didn't quite get done on Friday, then it's like, oh, I guess I got to put in a couple hours over the weekend to get it done. So instead, we're moving our schedule back to be more SMITE 1-like, where we're going to branch tonight at midnight, and then we'll go live with the update a week from tomorrow, so next Tuesday. We'll do the full patch update showcase on Wednesday and talk about everything in this update, and there is a lot. So this might be a longer show than normal.
Yep.
Because there's
so much.
And then we'll have the Flash Test PTS going live immediately after the show on Wednesday. So little bit of a different schedule. Apologies if you tuned in today expecting to see the update. But, you know, come back on Wednesday because there's a lot.
Wednesday's going to be, like Killgoon said, probably a little bit longer of a show, but
I
there's
thought
lots
about,
of exciting stuff. Yeah.
I thought about, like, some of the stuff that we have in this update would make really good teasers. Like to put out on Twitter, like little Twitter clips to have people lose their minds. But I wonder if it's like appropriate to do that, or if it'd be better to have the context of the full pitch. Yeah. So I don't know. There's definitely going to be some blown minds, though. I think.
Maybe we can talk a little bit after the show and see if there's something cool we can post on social media tomorrow. Chat's like, give us teasers
give
now.
Us teasers. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
And some stuff that is big. Big changes that are experiments, and we'll see how the experiments go. So it'll be fun.
Sweet.
It'll be fun.
Well, the majority of our show is just going to be hanging out with you all, chat, for a Q&A. One thing I did want to call out, it is Monday. That means Silas Aspect is now live in SMITE 2. So if you want to hop onto the battleground and play with Silas Aspect, really new, interesting play style for her, gaining mana from using abilities instead of spending it, but then dumping all your mana for your ultimate. You get 3 guaranteed fires of I'm a Monster. So I'm definitely looking forward to people who are picking up that aspect, watching some Twitch streams. Hopefully some clips get posted on social media as well. But it should be really cool.
Yeah. Don't be surprised if Scylla ults you more than once, because that's the way it works. So look out for that bright orange icon next to her name in the tab screen, and that's what's going to happen to you. So.
Sweet. Well, I think that was everything that I had on my laundry list to cover at the top of the show. Killgoon, anything else before we get started?
Somebody asked specifically, Mercury isn't today. Yes, Mercury will be part of the Wednesday show as we're talking about everything else in the update. I did play Mercury this morning.
Yeah.
And he feels good. There's a couple polish cleanup things that we definitely still have to do, but I think we actually got them all done in the hour since we finished playtesting. So hopefully he's in a really good state to show off on Wednesday. And looking forward to it.
Yeah, should be good. Let's go ahead and open up the floor for Q&A. So, chat, if you have anything that you want to talk about, anything you want to ask, we're chilling for the next hour-ish to hang out with you all and answer some questions.
Yeah. I will give people want a little teaser.
Cool.
So I'll give a little teaser.
A little teaser. You know?
The aspect in this update, I think we're only going to get one aspect because there's so much other stuff, and you'll see what I'm talking about when we go into a little bit more. Is going to be for new WA.
Yeah.
So if you're a new WA enjoyer, the new WA aspect is very interesting, and you'll get to see that more
good stuff.
on Wednesday.
I played against it today.
Yep.
Let's see. I've seen some reports about Ganesha Aspect and maybe a little bit too strong. I know that it is on the design team's radar to take a look at Ganesh. We're just getting some early data. I do agree. He's hurting a lot. So we'll see if design sees if he warrants a nerf upcoming. But Ganesha Aspect is definitely on the team's radar to look into.
Yeah. Although somebody said that we need to buff Ganesha Aspect, so maybe that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely taking a look at it. I think it is strong. Yeah. We thought it might be strong, but better to. Historically, we found that if something is strong, but not just like game warpingly strong, it's usually better to ship things a little bit strong and then nerf them quickly versus shipping things that are weak. Yeah. And in our testing, this was one of those that like for a long time it was really weak and people were like, why would you ever use this aspect? And then a couple changes were made to where it was like suddenly strong and we were like, and everybody's like, oh my God, it's so fun. You know? So we're like, let's ship it maybe a little bit too strong and then rein it in if we need to. So we should have given Ganesh a gun with this aspect. Yes, that would have been good.
That's hilarious.
I don't think it's gonna be a huge nerf. I think there's just maybe a little tweaking we can do.
A little tap,
Yeah. New aspect immediately after Ganesha Ultimate has been implemented. Excellent Smite knowledge, good sir. For those of you who are newer to Smite and the Smite fandom, Nuwa's Ultimate, for original Nuwa, it is Ganesha's Ultimate. She had a box with 4 walls that damaged you as you walked through them. And then she got a pretty substantial rework and ended up being the way she is now. And we saved the idea of that Ultimate and brought it back for Ganesh.
People are saying, don't nerf the aspect. We're taking a look, y'all.
Not
We're
just
not
people.
Gonna go crazy.
Weaken is here saying, don't nerf the aspect. It's weak. I have seen your videos, sir. No, it's I think it's not going to be. We're just looking at it. I think it's the best way to say it. I think it might be a little bit strong, but I don't think it's necessarily as super OP as some people may be thinking. So I think it's more unexpected, right? And I think that like part of the the way that you psychologically experience OP-ness is when somebody does something that you don't think that they can do. It's like I'm used to the god that you were playing today. I had an expectation of how much damage that god would be doing to me. And then I exploded repeatedly. And I was like, this god is broken. We need to do something about it. But I think it might have just been you were playing well and you had a good build. And, I'm not used to, I haven't seen a lot of people play that god well. So people are making fun of my word choices, so that's fine.
You did a very good job at not spoiling anything accidentally.
I've done this long enough that I'm decent at it now.
Let's see here. I've seen people talking about potential bugs with Blink, and I just do want to call it out. Yes, we are aware of the issue. Yes, we do have a repro internally that we are looking to get fixed. I don't know the timeline on that, but hopefully in the next update, we should be able to get that issue with Blink resolved.
Yeah. It was, we had heard about the issue, but we didn't have a consistent how to trigger it until today, I think. So now that we figured out exactly what consistently triggers it, should be able to get that fixed for the next update.
Are we getting the final wave of announcer packs in the next update? Also, win Fat Loki. I believe the announcer packs are in this update. We'll have to double check with Kellen, and then on our Wednesday show, if they are in, we'll talk about them a little bit more.
Yes,
and I'm not sure about Fat Loki.
Yeah, he's a little ways out. Not in the next update, but I do know that the first classic skin that Kabrakan will be getting will be Nerd Rage.
Yeah.
So we are working on that, and I've seen some of the prisms for it, and they're they're quite good. So that will be fun when that comes. Can I tell you what role Nuwa Aspect is for? It is more of a 80s hunter. What are we calling it? Carry.
Yeah.
See, people got mad when I called it carry last time, and then whatever.
ADC carry. Yeah.
Yeah, a duo lane range damage character. Will we ever get more music-focused crossovers? I loved the Hath one. Kellen will be happy to hear you said that. Kellen is a big Hath guy. I think that we will get some more music stuff in the future, most likely. We like the music crossovers. The music crossovers are also a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but they're a little bit more flexible for how we approach them, right? Where, like, I thought the Monster Cat skins were really cool, and we could kind of just make skins that were inspired by the music and incorporated the music in an interesting way without needing to 100% precisely replicate a known character, right? Because I think that, like, that's usually what makes crossover skins so hard, is that, like, frequently they need a new rig, they need new animations, they need just a lot. Whereas with the music-driven ones, we can do more our own artistic interpretation and make sure they hew a little bit closer to things that already work in the game while still being really cool. Any new skins to show off? We'll look at skins on Wednesday. So check it out. We talked about the bug already. We aren't going to talk about specific cases of potential bug abuse on the show, because we don't like to specifically call anybody out. We do review reports of things like that occurring with our customer support team, and we will take action where appropriate.
Someone's asking if there are any new items in this patch. No new items in this patch, but I think when we do the show on Wednesday, people will see why. There's a lot of other stuff in the update.
Pond had been saying he might try and sneak one in,
so
nice, there
cool.
might maybe be an item that kind of comes in last minute here. I think it depends on how his day goes. But yeah, maybe not, but there's a lot of stuff. So hopefully you'll be interested.
Let's see here.
Do you guys plan on doing a big January patch again? I think constant updates are good, but there's something that's nice about big chunky patches. I think that's a great question. And I think that, like, it speaks a lot to our current strategy and what we're doing. Right now, our goal is to make the game as better as possible every 2 weeks, right? Because we just feel like there's so much core about the game that can be better, that can be amazing. Whereas Smite 1 was at the point where it was like, this game's pretty damn good. We don't really have too much work to do on the core game. And it's more just like, how do we create exciting moments to get people to come back and play the game again? At some point, we are going to have to pivot towards doing, here's just like a big shakeup that's a shakeup for shakeup's sake, and come back and play the game because it's different, right? But right now, I think our goal is just like, let's keep growing because the game just keeps getting better, right? And we're working on it. At some point, we will need to do these bigger, like, hype beats. This was actually one of the reasons why we delayed doing New Gods for a while, was because we found that, like, just randomly shipping New Gods the past couple times
with nothing else
has
around
not
them
done anything for us, like, beyond, we haven't gotten any more lift out of shipping a New God than we did out of shipping a Classic God, because it wasn't part of a big moment, right? And you kind of have to create a moment where people are like, oh, there's this exciting thing going on in the game, I got to come back and check it out, right? Right now, we're trying to create the buzz of just like, the game's just getting better, and it's getting better, and it's getting better, and there'll be some exciting stuff to talk about on Wednesday that's, maybe a little spicier. So we're working towards that.
Let's see here. Someone asked, have the new player experience editions shown any promise yet, or is it still too early to tell?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've seen small improvements, right? But you build a house brick by brick, right? Like, I think that typically with video games, you kind of see gradual improvement until you like tip some tipping point, and then you see like huge improvement, right? That said, like we are going to be willing to experiment with some things that are a bit bigger in scope changes for new players to see if that reacts, like if we get, bigger movement at once, right? Because I mean, this is a more extreme example than something we would probably do, but like Fortnite, if you don't remember, Fortnite was a PvE co-op zombie kind of game, right? It's like you defeat waves of guys trying to defeat your base. That's what Fortnite was. And then they shipped Battle Royale and blew up, right? But that game was like, nobody was playing it. It was kind of dead for like a year. And then they shipped Battle Royale and their life changed, right? That's happened a few times with different games where they strike magic with some mode and reinvigorate. That's not necessarily the exact direction that we're going in here, but like, I think that sometimes you're really close to having something magical and you just need to take a few bigger swings to try some different things and see if it resonates a little bit more with people. So we're going to do that. Yep.
I've seen a couple of people, not more than just a couple.
Save the World.
Save the World
was the original Fortnite. Thank you, chat.
Like I said, I've seen a couple people talk just general, and there was a Reddit thread today, just general like art direction of the game, improvements to the visuals, graphics, lighting, and stuff like that. Killgoon, I know that's something that has been on your list. You've had a little bit of a project on the side that you've tried to work on and work through some stuff. But let's just kind of talk about that and kind of like what we're envisioning. I know we've talked about it on the show before. Definitely not in the realm of shipping anything like that anytime soon, but it's definitely something we've been thinking about.
Yeah, it's something that we've been thinking about. I think that there's a lot about the presentation of SMITE 2 overall that we need to work on, right? And we're aware of that. One of the things that we're doing for OB13, I'll give you another spoiler for Wednesday because that'll be hard to show. In the match lobby, we're reframing all of the gods so that when you click a god to select the god, they actually like fit the space and look good, which is maybe something that seems small, but like it was really weird. Like some gods were really small and some gods were really big. And it's just one of those things that's going to make that screen feel better. And that's the first part of making that screen continue to feel better and better and better, right? Like there is a lot of stuff that we think we can do. Speaking specifically about like the in-game, art, I think that personally, I think that lighting is the area for the potential biggest improvement that can really tie the whole game together a little bit better. I don't think that it's super well serving everything that's going on right now, right? I think that it's making, the characters look better than the lighting makes them look sometimes. I think that the environment also looks better than the lighting makes it look sometimes. And I think that like the separation between the two is not as good as it could be because of the way the lighting works. So that's something that is kind of I don't want to say it's like a back burner project, but it's something that we've been talking about for a while, and we have a couple like different things that we've mocked up internally, but we aren't close to having something to ship in that regards. In terms of like environment art as well, right? Like I think that the area that we think might need the most there is some of the ground texture work in particular. If you look at like, I think most of the actual environment art assets look pretty good. Again, I think the lighting doesn't do them a lot of favors. I think that a lot of the foliage looks pretty good, but I think that like the ground texture could be improved. I think that those are my top priorities. But we have a couple other art things that are kind of a little bit higher up the priority list right now, because we always have to run the balance of like, okay, we're shipping gods. Takes a lot of work to ship gods. We have to ship a certain level of cosmetics because we have to keep making money so that we can keep developing the game, right? If we just like, we already did we're not going to make any skins for 3 or 4 months, and we need to keep shipping stuff so we make some money so people have things to buy. And then we have a little bit of flexible time that we're like, okay, what's the most important thing for us to be working on right now? And I think that like the environment art stuff is rising up the stack, but it just is not quite at the top yet because we have a couple other things we're working on. What's going on with Action Camera? I liked how it was on release, but now it's almost the same as normal camera. We have a bigger change for Action Cam as part of this next update that you will find interesting. So we will we'll be showing that off more on Wednesday. Yeah. But yeah, the initial test I think was promising, but there was some stuff we wanted to keep going on, and so we made some changes.
Any thoughts on opening up the assets for a creator mode, almost like Halo Forge, allowing people to create their own stuff?
So theoretically, yes, but it would be a decent amount of work to create that. Mm-hmm. Because like if you're Halo, then the thing that you're using to make and you're on a custom engine, right? Like the thing that you are using to make the levels is probably something that you can easily repackage into a level editor that people can use on their own. We are an Unreal Engine 5 game, and we're using Unreal Engine 5 core editor to create our levels, right? So we would have to find some way to expose that to you in an easy to access way, and it would be a pretty big arc of work, right? This is even why, like, Fortnite has gone down the route of having their own custom version of Unreal UEFN, where people can make their mod levels. And I think that's gone okay for them, but it's been hard because, like, Unreal Engine is by default more complicated than I take a piece and I put it in, like it's a lot easier to use these level designers in other games that are more built for the end user versus built for like developers. Is the Pyromancer kill sound the same sound as the monkey enemies in Elden Ring? Because it sounds exactly the same. That sound's been in Smite for forever, so maybe they stole it from us. I don't know. That's it's news to me. That's just kind of a funny line. We would like to see if our teammates have Aspect on in lobby. Yeah, this is one that
it's been on the list.
It's been on the list for a while. Yeah. We need to try and get it pushed up, but there's a lot of other UI stuff that you will see in this update. So hopefully you can see that we're not being lazy. We just have a couple other things we're trying to get done first.
Do you have plans to change the mid lane gold objective to something more interesting? It's probably one of the most boring things in Conquest right now.
Yeah.
It's something that we've talked about for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely it's an area for improvement. I think that we agree that it's one of the more or less exciting things. Yeah. It's weirdly stated, but it's one of the less fun things on the map right now. We're playtesting with a different twist to that in game for a little while in dev, but we weren't 100% happy with how it was going. So we're still thinking about it. We don't have a firm plan for what's going to replace it, but at some point. Will we be getting Afro buffs with Beach Babe? I can't tell you that or not, but I can tell you that Caps played Afro in playtest today and was complaining about how weak she was. So if they listen to his propaganda, then perhaps.
Someone is asking, please prompt us for what game mode we want to make when making a custom lobby. I think that's good feedback. Right now, you create a custom, and then you have to click the drop-down menu at the top, maybe just exposing that as soon as you hit Create Custom. Could be good quality of life.
Can we get a setting to change the color of the distance line indicator? Maybe sometime. Not immediately. I think the next thing that's kind of on our to-do list is like reticle, and being able to change the color of your reticle and changing the graphics, the visuals used for that. And for the line, I think we're trying to get a darker outline to it, or something to help it pop a little bit more from the ground, but not color changing, at least for right
now. Will Landshark Sobek get his backing animation from Smite 1?
No, there aren't any intentions to add additional animations. Part of that skin has some other like weird extra animations in Smite 1, and part of like us being able to bring it over was, understanding that like we wouldn't be able to do all of the extra animations on it.
Any news on hit markers? They were in the alpha but disappeared.
Yeah, they aren't done yet. They weren't supposed to really be in
the flash test.
Flash test. Yeah. So they were initially supposed to be for OB13. They aren't quite done yet. There's still some more work to be done. So probably realistically more like, I would guess OB14, unless they pull them together this afternoon and they look great or something. Will you be able to see if your friends are in-game whenever the Friends update comes? I believe there is a fix for some Friends list issues in this next update, so hopefully that should be good.
Yep. Can we please do something about Hecate's aspect? It's really toxic outside of Conquest, and inside of Conquest, it's really bad and doesn't help her in support at all. I've heard that Hecate aspect is actually kind of really good in Conquest support. At least that's what Hindu Man told me, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know too much about Hecate. I do know that I know that the aspect is quite good in Assault, but I don't know what the design team's plans are for it. People want teasers. No, you got to watch on Wednesday.
We've already had a couple.
Yeah, I've had a couple little things. Quite good is an understatement. Yeah, it's good. Okay, all right. I can't give you the full context because I don't know the data on it. So, but I know it's pretty good.
Can we adjust the directional damage indicator range? It's really annoying while fighting at melee range.
How so? Please explain. I just would like to understand the feedback better, because I've not heard that before. So I'm just trying to think how it could be worse for melee characters. It's too high. It can cover nameplates and other useful information too much.
Can take a look at it.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry, chat's moving fast today with long questions, which is always
it's the hardest combo
to read and pick a question. Are we planning on changing Loki aspect soon? I don't know specifically what design has planned, but I do know that we've consistently gotten feedback that it's the most underwhelming of the aspects. I think we were concerned in development that it might be the most OP of the aspects. So I do know that they have been talking about it. I don't exactly know what's planned for it. Medusa Viper shots can't break her statues or Odin cage walls. They probably also can't kill wards then, if that's the case. Good bug. Thoughts on adding the yes/no queue pop-up like in Smite 1 before entering the lobby to avoid AFK? This is a very old school design thing. And realistically, like, you should just be ready to play the game when you click the Q button. And we find that, like, we don't really have significantly more matches end because somebody AFK'd in the lobby in Smite 2 than we did in Smite 1. But it does improve the time to get into a match quite considerably. So we're pretty pleased with this format. This is the way most games do it. It's the only, like, unless you are playing a couple other MOBAs or Smite 1, there's not really too many games that are like, do you want to join this match now that it's ready? Most games just like, cool, you're in the match, right?
Let's see here. Are God voice packs for characters who aren't in the game in the upcoming pack? I used to use the Baba Gaga announcer pack and would love to have it back. Yeah, I believe the team isn't opposed to bringing over announcer packs from gods or skins that aren't in Smite 2 yet.
Yeah, I think there were a couple that we held because the gods were like about to come out and we were going to do something. I think the further out gods we just put in there. I'm not 100% sure. Make Loki Aspect cloak all allies nearby.
Ooh, that sounds real.
That
sounds real good.
Just going to have full team ganks nonstop.
What are you guys' plans for crossover events with other media properties? Smite 2's player base is quite small, and new player retention is rough enough for MOBAs. Do you think a big crossover could generate 10K plus more players or so to get things more like complex matchmaking going?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, like, we have seen in the past that crossovers can drive player numbers if they are executed properly with the correct, like, media property. Some have done much better for us than others. Some you would have not noticed that we did anything, right? So it really depends on if we managed to strike a nerve. Didn't seem to be too related to how much money we spent advertising it or how popular the property was. At a wide scale, it was more just how well it resonated with the kind of people that wanted to be playing Smite. I would say, you know, I don't want to get into a big argument about it, but I would say, like, you know, the Smite 2's player base is still pretty darn good if you compare us to most other, like, multiplayer games that have released in the last 10 years, you know. I think that, like, we know that it can be bigger, and as the game gets better, we think it will continue to get bigger. We also think that spending too much time on, like, a crossover right now is probably just not the right thing when the game itself has a lot of work still that can be done to improve the core game, right? Crossovers are something that I think is a better trigger to pull when the game is already, like, solid and you don't really have anything else you can do to make the game better. It's just like, this is the game that we have. Do you want to come play it because it's got Stranger Things in it? Like, I mean, that's kind of like what Smite 1 was. Smite 1 was kind of like at the peak of what it could be, and it was good game, don't get me wrong. Love Smite 1. But, like, we couldn't push Smite 1 any further based on where the engine was and, you know, a lot of other restrictions like that. So, like, crossovers were kind of like the only trigger that we could pull to get people excited, other than, like, here's a new season, here's a new Conquest map. You know, it's just like, we weren't really able to make the core game better. Whereas right now, the effort is better spent on making the core game better, we believe.
Are there any specific examples of gods that have to come before any others? I.e., does Scotty have to come before Hera as Argus pet AI is more advanced than Calder?
I mean, I don't think there's any gods that absolutely have to come before others, but there are some that maybe just should from a development perspective. I am not the tech guy who could tell you exactly what those are, but I do know that's something that we have talked about. Will we have our ranked borders taken away from us if we don't play ranked this season but played in the last split and the title? No, I believe those were rewards for that split.
Yeah.
So I don't believe they'll be changed based on if you played the split or not.
Have you ever thought about changing the way bosses work on Smite? Like instead of a very static fight, changing it to something unique and different, maybe multi-stage bosses or even something else?
Yeah, we've experimented with this kind of thing a few times through the years. Some internally that you never saw, some externally. Fire Giant right now is a multi-state. Like he has a lot of different attacks that do different things to you. The jungle camps all have like a special ability that they will use that you have to kind of play around a little bit. What we have found though is that Smite is a MOBA. This may be a shocker. And MOBAs are primarily about giving you opportunities to fight the other team and reasons that you want to fight the other team. And what we found is that like if we make the PvE too stressful, too difficult, too focus requiring, that's actually bad for the game because PvE objectives are mainly there as like hey guys, come fight me for this or else I'm going to get this buff. Do you want to fight me for this? You don't? Okay, well I'm going to get this buff. All right, bye. Like that's the way that the flow works. And if it can't be a 5 people working together need to work together perfectly to beat this boss, because then the other team shows up and it never happens, right? Like, I don't know if that makes sense as an explanation, but like that's kind of what we have found over the years is it's just better to have like things that cause people to fight over them versus really intricate fights that are PvE experiences.
Someone asked if we are aware that Ascension passes are giving less worshippers than if you did not have them purchased. I know Caps was looking into this for Ascension passes and the worshipper multiplier after picking one up.
Okay. I did not hear that. How well did pirate skins do in Smite 1? I'm begging for Dreadbeard's return. Some of the pirate skins did really well. I would say the earlier ones did pretty well. Like I think that like Neath and Sobek did very well. And then I don't think any of the other ones really did very well. I think it became it's one of those skin themes that didn't, like a lot of skin themes, it's like the first thing in a skin theme sells well, maybe the second one sells well, and then it's just like people don't care anymore, right? And I think it was more along that lines. I think that if we were to do, like we did the one battle pass that was like pirate themed, and that was like one of our worst performing battle passes, maybe our worst performing battle pass. It was not great. So I think that like, it's not saying that they will or they won't come back in Smite 2, but just like you asked how the skin line did, and pirates, I think are just like too general of a theme, if that makes sense. Like people, it seems like nowadays want more like layered theme, where it's like this is dumb, but I'm just gonna, it's like I want like fashion pirates, like give me the pirate aesthetic crossed with like modern hip hop fashion, right? And people would be like, yo, that's sick. But if it's just like they got a pirate hat on, people are like, whatever. I've seen pirates before. So you have to do a little bit more of a niche, not like niche, but more of a unique, I guess is the word I'm looking for, approach to skins these days. Alposh says, I would rather just have the pirate. Unfortunately, most people do not agree with you. That we've had a very similar thing over the years. Like we have tried to make like Western work as a skin theme, I think in every game we've ever released, and it has always failed miserably. Don't make Western skins. Also, like nature skins, nobody wants nature skins. Don't make, like they don't care. It just doesn't sell. Sylvanas Western skin is a little bit of a okay. If it is a beloved community concept, then maybe you have a chance. But any other like Western skin thing we've ever done has been a complete failure.
Someone asked how the new engine upgrade is coming along. So I believe the plan is for, fingers crossed, next update, OB13.
Yeah, we'll have 5.5. So we're still running through a few things, but by and large, it seems like it's coming pretty good.
Yep.
Somebody wants bun hats. I think this might be a Biakai Smurf account. Chef Vulcan's a good one.
It's a very good one.
Who will be the first big mass god on Smite 2 to be added? I think you just mean like a large god. Khepri is actually, like, from a ground perspective, the largest god in the game. And we usually use Khepri as like blockers to be like, make sure that two Khepris can fit through somewhere, right? That's kind of the way that it works. So Khepri's already pretty big. You know, if you're talking about more like and Hades is actually one of the tallest gods in the game. You may not know this, but he is extremely tall, and he's flying, so he's just like super duper tall. That said, you're probably talking more about like, you know, Cthulhu or Yorm, or, you know, one of the like gods that you would think of as being big. Don't have anything to share about them today, but just kind of fun conversation topic.
Let's see. There was a post asking what the worst god in the game is, and it was split evenly between Nuwa and Mulan. Nuwa's getting an aspect. What help is Mulan going to get? Not going to spoil anything here, but I know Clumsy and Pawn are actively talking about Mulan, and I'm not sure if it's going to be in this update, but they are cooking. I'll say that much.
Okay. I was just gonna make fun of our Mulan propagandist again. No, I'm just joking. No, I mean, I think that like it's good that you keep giving us feedback that you know we need to see some changes to Mulan, and you know we're definitely taking a look.
Does the team have any plans to add items that could combat characters with leaps/dashes? Super unfun to lane against it if you're not Ares or do not have a silence.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like there's.
I see both sides of the coin.
I see both sides, right? Like it's partially like this is what one god does, and your god does something else that makes it more powerful in another way. And part of the fun is like playing around like different characters having different skills. I think if like every god plays the same, then it becomes boring, right? And there are some people who think that like too many of our gods are too similar as it is, right? So I think there'll probably always be some diversity between different gods, where it's like feels a little bit different when you're playing into different matchups. But yeah, well, we are working on things that we will show off soon.
Yeah.
A lot of balance stuff today that I don't feel very equipped to comment on. Like,
I believe we're going to be talking about balance on Wednesday.
Yeah,
that's kind of our big OB13 show.
Yeah, so like one person's like, are we happy with where? Oh, this is Zoidberg. Zoidberg says, are we happy with where we're at on crit right now? I know that you used crit this morning and destroyed me, so I'm not happy. But no, but from a design standpoint, yeah, like Isaiah's happy. I'm not happy, and we'll have to wait to see what the designers say as to whether it's good or not. What happened to the H god? So all new gods, we're just like stopping working on the all new gods for a period of time while we're focusing on some more kind of core systems improvements. Making an all new god just takes a lot of attention away from some of the other things that we feel like are more important to the game right now than putting another all new god in, especially because the last few all new gods didn't move the needle much for us, in part because we aren't making a big event out of their arrival. We aren't doing a big, there's nothing else in game that gets you excited about it. It's kind of just like, here's a new god, right? I don't think that's enough anymore. So we felt like it's better to put those resources into continuing to make the game better while we ship a lot of ported gods. And then, we'll come back around to these in development, all new gods sometime soon. This is if you can take a note on this, somebody has mentioned this twice. The Fenris 2's text doesn't match the number of stats that it gives. So I think the text says 50 and it gives 35 or something like that.
Cool. Got it.
Thank you. How did the pajama skins do? I really want them back. I loved the pajama skins. The Neath one, or not Neath, the Nike one was like one of my favorite skins. And I think I was like, I don't know if I pitched it or if I was just somebody else pitched it, and I was just like sometimes you get really excited about something and you're like super gung ho on it. So I definitely loved that skin. It was really good. Kumba also has like the Princess Sleepyhead, which is not really pajamas, but kind of pajamas, and also a great one. I love the VXG. Is that what it is? The floating?
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. So those are fun skins.
Seen a couple people mention that some trackers are not working. I see Hunbats here. If you have any trackers that aren't working, just drop it in chat, or fill out the bug report form, or hop in our Discord and leave it out there. That way our QA team can get eyes on it and take a look.
What god would be the Titan Talk mascot? We've already discussed this. It would be Anher, and one head would be my head.
Agni.
I said Anher. I'm an idiot. It would be Agni, and one skin would be my head, and one skin would be Isiah's head. And then the ults would be one more question. It'd be great. Ganesha's god kills his bug.
Gotcha.
Let's see. This is maybe something for design. Is there any updates on the damage scaling tooltip on Sunder? Sometimes it's hard to do the math quickly to secure a buff before level 15. One thing that some MOBAs do is they actually give you like in your buff bar, they'll give you like a buff that has like the number of damage that it'll do on it, so you can easily see like if you have if you have that thing. So maybe that's something that we could do. It's good feedback. Threshold bar on the creep itself, probably not going to do that. We so there's a lot of like I'm trying to think of how to approach this. Generally speaking, in games, it is better to make things that are hidden knowledge public knowledge, right? If there's something that like your top 1% of players is going to track either like in chat or, on, with a third party app, or they're just going to like ping, like there's a word here. And then like everybody's going to remember because they're good players or whatever, right? Like games are moving more towards like telling you, hey, we'll just let you know. Like we'll let you know what the timers are. We'll let you know, when, if a ward's in a certain location or whatever, right? But I think that like the execute threshold thing makes it less fun for the last like trying to secure the kill moment of, and I
you
think
lose that tension, right?
Yeah, and I think that's like the hype part about like trying to steal a thing is trying to time it when you don't know exactly how perfectly you need to time it, right? Like, and I think that in my opinion, the threshold bar for that is, for like jungle camps in particular, like for like Sunder execute threshold or whatever, is just, I don't know. I think it takes away from the fun of stealing objectives. Why don't you give everybody one ward that's on a long cooldown? We tried to do this, and you complained. This was in the very first version of the alpha. This was, you had a dedicated button that was for warding that you got a ward every so often, and that was the only way in the game to get wards. And we liked this because it controlled the amount of wards on the map very well. You didn't have to remember to buy wards. It was just a really good solution all in all, but everyone hated it. So we did away with that and switched back to our current system. I think are still thinking about wards, but we don't really have a firm plan to update them at this point.
Do we have a record introduction lines and animations, as well as other directed taunts for Smite 1 exclusive gods. We have all that stuff banked. I know, Killgoon, you were talking with Kellen about potentially bringing back just the intro audio lines for whenever you hop into a match with a Smite 1 god. The animations, maybe not so much, just because of those screens.
Yeah, you
at
don't
the beginning of the
see
match,
your
you don't
god,
really
so
see
that
them,
seems
but yeah.
like kind of a bit of a waste. But getting the voice line back was something that we were talking about trying to do. I don't know if that's OB13 or later. I'll chat with Kellen later today and see how that's going. Any updates or fixes on being forced down from leaps? It's frustrating to play the game when abilities just aren't working when you hear audio cues and you're mid-animation. This goes back to why we tried to do CC buffering for leaps as well before people hated it. This is 100% a client-server disagreement. On your side, you pushed the button to leap. On their side, you didn't, right? And the only way to resolve that is to basically see who told the server first that this thing was happening. And if the server heard first that that you were CC'd, then we can't wait to hear back the round trip of, hey, I pushed this button to jump. Basically responsiveness wise, if I push the button to jump and my animation to start jumping doesn't start for a 1/10 of a second, you would be like, this is the laggiest game ever. This game is unplayable, right? So every game does this, and that they cheat. They start playing the thing before they tell the server that they're doing it. The problem is that in our game, there's so many ways to interrupt that you got interrupted on the server, and we then have to pull you back down mid-jump. The only solution for this is to either make the windup of jumps not CCable, or to make to remove all the CC in the game. I guess that's really the other way. So I would love to be able to. I liked CC buffering on leaps, but most people didn't. So it's gone. That's where we are now.
Smite with no CC sounds fun. I feel like CC is a necessary evil.
It is. Yeah. It's very hard to hit people in a game like ours without some level of CC, is what we've found. One person says, make the CC apply at the end of the leap instead. This is actually what CC buffering did, and people still didn't like it.
Someone says the booster account notification shows my Smite 1 name even if the setting is turned.
I've heard that. Yeah. We should probably take a look at that. I've seen you ask this a few times. Hear me out. A jungle item shop on each side of the map. You can use a pyro bomb to permanently destroy the enemy's jungle market. I think that's definitely a fun idea. We've experimented with shopping out of base a lot in the history of Smite, and we will continue to do so. In Smite 1, there was a Chester.
With the secret shop.
A secret shop. Basically, you could kill a jungle camp and then have a secret shop volume appear in the map, and then you could shop there. There was also Chang'e can shop anywhere on the map. I think that it's definitely something that we will continue to experiment with.
Someone asked, we get Mercury tomorrow in PTS? No, our first flash test for OB13 is going to be on Wednesday after Titan Talk.
Yep. Are we going to get a Kabrakan skin soon? Yep. I mentioned earlier today that Nerd Rage will be the first classic skin. Not in this next update, I don't believe, but in an update or two.
Yep. Someone asked, how's the performance of the Guan Yu Traveler? I don't like having to buy 2 Travelers in one update.
Yeah. I'm not sure, to be honest, because the person who normally pulls that information is on a family vacation this week, so we don't have the data as good as we normally do yet. I will say, historically, we have seen the Travelers do much better than trying to sell the content any other way. So I don't know specifically for Guan Yu. I do know that the Independence one did very well, just because he mentioned it to me before he left. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Next god is Mercury. Yes, next god is Mercury. Yeah. Thoughts on bringing back Beacon or something similar? We have experimented with Beacon internally. I think that we like the idea of it. I think that we're still experimenting with it, right? Like, I don't want to say for sure if it is or isn't coming back. It is one of those objectives that is better the better you are at the game, because new players, doesn't matter how much you tell them, will not.
Please group.
They just stay in their lanes.
They just want to push their lane.
I just want to kill minions and maybe a tower eventually. Like, so it's not a good new player objective. That doesn't mean that it's not a good addition to the game overall, and maybe something that comes back. But it's something we've been experimenting with. I thought next god was Fenrir. Good joke. Good joke. Thoughts on bread? It's good.
Yeah.
I like bread. I don't know.
Oh, man. With you guys adding unpopular gods like Kali and Awelish, what are the odds of adding others like Kakullen, who might be appealing for his unique design?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we're constantly trying to balance a number of different factors with who we're bringing over, right? We're trying to balance, like, obviously the more popular a god is, the more people that are going to be happy to have them in the game, just by default. There are also certain, like, gameplay niches that certain gods are the only ones that do it, right? Yeah. Like Awelish, never a popular god in Smite 1, but good at, like, the high levels of ranked and somewhat popular there, but offers a very distinct counter to a certain gameplay mechanism, right? So we want to bring her over. We also then need to balance it against our dev team capacity. And some gods are harder on certain teams than other teams. So if you are really hard from a programming standpoint, then we can't bring that god over when we have a lot of other programming work that we want to do. If it's a hard god from a animation standpoint, Scylla is a very hard god from, like, a tech art and rigging standpoint because of the way that her tentacle dogs work, right? So we have to kind of balance it with, like, where we have gaps in the schedule to do the complexities that are unique to that god. Yeah. And Kakullen is a god that has, unfortunately, complexities across every aspect of the kit, right? Because he has the unique rage bar mechanic, which we might be able to do design only nowadays with UE5. Yeah. But normally I would say that's more of a programming task, but it might be a design task with the way that we've built our things up now. And then he has 2 different models. So it's going to be double the work for the modeling team. It's going to be double the work for the animation team, double the work for the rigging team. So the art teams in particular are going to get hit quite hard on double model gods. And this is also why, like, we don't historically put out as many skins for double model gods, because if you are I'm just going to use numbers that are not real numbers, right? Let's say it costs $100 to make a skin. If you have 2 models, it's going to cost $200 to make that skin. But the same number of people are probably going to be interested in buying that skin. So you're going to end up making less money on double model god skins, even if the god is as popular as some other god. So that's not saying that we won't bring over double model gods. It's not saying that we won't make skins for double model gods.
They're all going to come over at some point, right?
Yeah, it's just, that's, like, historically why we haven't skinned double model gods as much, because it literally just makes us less money. And, like, we make skins both as fan service and because we need to make money to keep making the game, right? Like, I mean, that's the way that business works, right? Like, we are a creative business, but we are a business nonetheless, so we have to make money. I think like for gods specifically, right? Like that's why we haven't had any really like 2 model gods come over yet, because it just would be a bigger hit on the art team at a time when they're trying to make a new god every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that is more of a priority than getting kind of the double model gods over right now.
Yep.
Fafnir in the Shadow Realm. No. Like people are always like Fafnir is definitely the last god, or Set's definitely the last god. Everybody has all these like gods that they think is going to be the last god.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. It could be somebody random, right? But like, I think it's just like understanding that there are difficulties unique to each god, and we're trying to do our best to balance the difficulties with each god with the demand that we see from players to bring them over.
Sweet. Well, we are at 2 p.m., so it is time for one more question.
I will answer this one, which is kind of an add-on to what I was just talking about.
Let's do it.
But does that de-incentivize 2 model gods that are brand new? I will say we almost always end up making more gods that are like this because they're fun and they're interesting.
Yeah.
But we're generally speaking smarter about how we approach this for new gods, where, you know, this is just an example. This isn't even that recent, right? But like, let's say, Hera, right? Hera is one character that is like a full, I can do everything kind of character. Mm-hmm. And then a second character that is, has a much more restricted set of animations and doesn't need to, basically like, it's not like making 2 complete skins. It's like making a skin and a half, let's say, right? Cthulhu's kind of the same way, right? Like he has his big form, but his big form doesn't need all of the animations of the little form. So it's more like a skin and a half than 2 skins. So we try and be smarter in how we approach these things. Baba Yaga, another example, right? Like we got the house. The house itself just walks around. And it doesn't even need 8-way motion. It just walks in a single direction, right? And then when you're in alt form, you only do one thing. So again, it's like, it's not the full like 2 models. If you want, if you're talking about like 2 completely different models that each have 8-way movement, that each has 4 unique abilities, like we will think long and hard before doing those, because that's just signing ourselves up for a lot of future work. But if we have a really cool idea, then we don't let that prevent us from doing it. It's just we need to know, like, eyes wide open what we're getting into if we go down that route.
And then I need to pick a good final question. Let's see. Is there a god you wouldn't have expected to be a popular god that people want ported over? I'm assuming we are counting from the list of characters that aren't currently in the game. I don't know if I've seen anything that particularly surprised me. I see the polls that go up on Reddit all the time of people voting for, you know, what character per role that they want into the game. I would say that the results are kind of spot on to what I generally think the community vibes with on a sentiment side of things, but I'm not sure if you have any that you've seen.
I think I pretty much agree. I think it's usually and things that are outliers are things that I would expect to be outliers because of where the survey is being done, if that makes sense, right? Like, this is just an example. Like, we see Persephone pop up sometimes in like these polls. It's because there's like a very vocal community of Persephone enjoyers, right? Like, even though she's not a super popular goddess, and it doesn't mean that, again, she's going to be the last guy to come over or anything, but it just, I think that like she polls higher than her real numbers would suggest that she should to us. Same thing for some other gods like that have like really dedicated fan bases. But that probably also means that then we should prioritize those higher than, you know, God, like kind of the converse of that is like Hercules. Hercules always has been a popular god in Smite. You know, even like, some people are like, well, it's because he's a free god. It's like, he's a free god because he's popular, right? People like playing him. He's always been popular, but like no one has ever bought skins for Hercules. It's just like they like playing him and Hercules is what it is and I don't need to buy a skin, right? So it's like, you know, should we have, like, from a financial perspective, should we prioritize Hercules if you know people aren't going to buy skins for him? You know, it's like, there's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like the opposite of the argument where it's like, he's popular, but he doesn't have a dedicated fan base. Whereas like someone like Persephone has a dedicated fan base, but isn't really that popular. So anyway, kind of fun topics to think about, and kind of stuff that we spend all day arguing over.
Yeah,
so
for sure. Well, that is going to be a wrap for us today. Chat, thanks so much for chilling with us on Monday, hanging out, talking Smite 2. We'll be back on Wednesday. Wednesday, I'm just going to call it now. It's probably going to be a little bit longer of a show, right?
If we get through it in an hour, I'm going to be shocked. Especially, are we going to try and do balance too?
I think so, yeah.
It's probably going to be a 2-hour show, guys.
Yeah.
And maybe, be pleasantly surprised if we get done early. There's a lot to get through, though. We've got a new god. We've got some crazy changes.
Some new skins, some crazy changes.
Some new skins. Balance. Should be a lot.
Yeah. But so be sure to join us. Set your alarms for Wednesday, 1 p.m. Join us right back here at twitch.tv/SmiteGame for our next episode of Titan Talk, where we'll be talking about all things Open Beta 13, which is our next update. But until then, hope everyone has a great rest of the day, and we will catch you next time. Peace.